Welcome back. We're here with Taylor from Callisto Terra in Toledo, Ohio. Taylor, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been 8, 9 months since we scheduled this thing, so I'm very happy for your patience, and I'm
Yeah,
and I'm happy for Wicked Palette for letting us film here. So,
yeah.
you know,
Thank
thank you
you.
guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I know a lot has changed since
Yeah.
the last time we met. We were in a completely different location. So,
Yes. So, why did you guys decide to move and collaborate with Wicked Palette?
so Tom is the owner of TC Acrylics. He's a longtime friend. He was hosting classes in our last location on Hill and Reynolds. Lease was up. It was just time, to make a decision. I thought I was going to go fully mobile. And our friend Shannon, who is in Wonderland Studio, she's literally right around the corner from us. She told us to come out and check this place out. Tom and I came out. The realtor is really good at this job. He showed us this place first. We wanted to see like a 300 square foot spot. And he was like, no, 2,500 square feet is good for you guys. And we saw the kitchen set up and everything. And we just kind of got dreamy over it. What could we do with this space? It was within the budget, and we signed the lease, and here we are, hosting all these classes. So his home is in here, and so is the home of Callisto Terra. So, yeah.
And how does that kind of lean to the creativity and just the things that are made in here? Having two people that are such, huge art, like art fans, just art of creation in general.
Yeah, yeah. So it kind of like it exploded. We were already doing our own thing and making unique pieces anyway, and we had a good customer base and all of that good stuff. When we got in here, it grew by 10. I think we're up to 12 makers, 11 or 12 makers now, and so we're offering all these different style. Classes from I learned about lapidary, which is the art of turning, we call it rocks to radiance, with Medusa stones. And so she's taking rocks she's finding in the local area and turning them into pieces of artwork, or jewelry that you can wear, wearable art. Tom's doing his acrylic pour painting. We have Ariel K crochet in here, and she's the mom. She has this beginner 101 workshop. You can have absolutely no experience in these things that we're offering to people, and that's what's really important. It's about giving people accessibility, right? Exposing them to new things that they probably wouldn't otherwise ever be exposed to. It kind of was my thing with candles. I don't know if I really appreciated the art of candle making before we decided to open Wicked Palette Studio, though. And so it really, like I said, it just exploded. It exploded on so many different levels. For me personally, it opened up this whole new way to present my business to the public, which is a gift. I'm really grateful for it.
And can you talk about your trade-in program for
Mm-hmm.
your candles and why this concept of sustainability is important to you?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. So it started out. So we make our concrete jars. We make them right here in the shop. They're handmade. The terrarium products that we have, it is a completely handcrafted product, and this takes time. And it broke my heart to see people throwing these jars out because it is a labor intensive thing, right? So selfishly, I was like, can we reuse these jars? Like, what can we do to, keep them out the landfill? And then it turned into, like this awakening. Wow, candles cause a lot of waste. They do. I mean, people don't know what to do with their jars. And doing the research and testing. I mean, I tested obsessively these jars over and over and over again. We use soy wax, and it takes 2 weeks to cure. So I'm pouring the candle, letting it sit for 2 weeks, burning it in that jar. When it burns down, I re-pour the candle, I wait the 2 weeks, and I burn it. And I did that for over a year. And I'm just using the same jars over and over again to make sure they don't crack, right? When I realized that we could reuse these jars over and over again, we can turn them into planter pots. You can, put your jewelry in, you can do all these things with them. We started the trade-in program. We offer the discount, you get 25% off, and it's good towards any of our classes, but it's helping to eliminate the waste. They're beautiful, they're artistic. Some people don't even burn our candles, so they're never trading in the jars. But for those that do, it gives them an option and also empowers them to start looking at other things that they could also be reusing around their house, and can take a step back from that, what is it, the consumerism part of the American dream. We're trying to cut back on all of that. And so we really believe in the program, and we see people bring us stuff back at events. I've had a woman at a grocery store ask me, I'm like, you ain't got your candle jars in your car. I know you don't. But just, oh my gosh, I can bring these back in. That's great. And people are doing it. And we're really grateful for it because it helps us and it helps them. It's our candle jars. They get to travel all around now instead of just going one place to die, which is great. We love it.
That's awesome. You mentioned earlier that your passion for candles kind of sparked when you came here. Why are you so passionate about candles?
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things that's like, it always existed in my world. My mom, when I was younger, it was just these smells. There was always fragrances that drew me to different things. I didn't realize that that's what it was. You're a kid, you don't know, you just exist, right, as you are.
Yeah.
But there are fragrances today that link me back to memories of people that are no longer with me, or places that don't even exist anymore, and finding the love of making those fragrances and giving those to people and giving people the opportunity to create that for themselves it just sparks the passion even more for me. It is one of the greatest joys when people come in here and they'll go to make a candle, they'll smell something and they'll be like, oh my gosh, doesn't it smell like grandma's house? Or doesn't it smell like, because it's all linked. All of that is linked to our memory, and we sometimes we find so much, joy and peace in the past. And I love that fragrance is it's a beautiful tie between those two things, right now, and things that we used to have and used to love and used to enjoy. And that was a huge thing for me. I have a warm apple pie fragrance that I bring out every autumn, and it reminds me of my mother and my grandma Tony, who we recently lost this past year. And the house that we grew up in, it was connected back to back. And when mom would burn the candle, you smell in Grandma Tony's house. When Grandma Tony would burn the candle, you smell in her house. And it wouldn't even be a candle. Like grandma would actually be cooking or whatever, but it was just this lingering fragrance. And I don't care if I never sell one of those. I will always make those candles because it takes me back to that time when I was little and just the joy and happiness of that moment. And I love seeing other people experience that too. It's
Have
beautiful.
have you ever had someone come in and say, I want to make a candle that made me remind me of this experience or this fragrance? Yeah.
Yeah, we get people that do that often, actually, which sucks because I wish I could take their nose off and put it on so that I could figure the fragrance out with them. But it's a journey, and that's what we go on. Whether they want to try and replicate a memory or they have like this feeling and they want to, personify that feeling in a candle. I get to partner with them and go on this journey with them and talk to them about, well, if you pair this with this, maybe we'll get that. And watching people, those little lights and sparks of joy where they smell it and it does take them back or it takes them forward or, wherever. We had a couple come in, they just got married, and they came in, they made candles together. They came back, they found out they were having a baby, and they made a candle centered around their daughter. And it was something that they were going to put up in their room and all this stuff. I want to say the daughter's name is Lavender, and so it was centered around all of that. And it was such a moment. I was like, oh my gosh, you're going to share that, so because it's just a candle, but it really, anything is what we put into it and the heart and love that we put behind it. And I try to do that with what I do, and seeing my customers do that is a huge gift. It really is. That one was really precious. That one was really special.
And can you talk about your candle creating classes and what makes them special?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always tell everybody it's really hands-on. Sometimes it gets a little messy, but I say messy in like the lightest tone. If it is a mess, you're doing something wrong. But it's just, I mean that in that like you're getting your hands, into this project and you're really crafting something that is completely unique to you. They get to go through all of the fragrances that we have, and we have fragrances that come and go and all of that stuff. And we try to bring in new jars, and we try to add all of these different things. But at the foundation of it, it's all about really like discovering more of yourself through this journey that you take that's like an hour long, right? You come in with this idea, oh, I'm going to make a candle, and we present these fragrances to you. Well, what do I want it to smell like? Well, how am I feeling? Well, what am I going to be feeling when I burn this candle? And watching people kind of go down that path and helping them out. I never tell people if something smells good or bad. I will catch myself kind of like fangirling over some fragrances because some people come in here and they are just like candle scientists. Like they really whip up something cool. But yeah, it's different than the traditional candle making experiences that are out there and available to people because of that. It is you in this candle. I don't put my hands on it. The only thing I do is measure out the wax because insurance, I can't let you touch the pot. And that part's not fun anyway. The fun is in the naming of the candle and the discovering, and working with people. If we were making a candle right now, I mean, we could make something that's polar opposites from each other, right? Because it's our personality that we're putting into this product. And it gives people a chance to really be creative with like a new avenue that's not just like any traditional, type of DIY class.
Yeah. Something that we actually talked about before this as well is you are now starting to transition into creating plants.
Yes.
Can
Ooh,
like
so excited.
you gonna talk about like why you guys decided to make that transition?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was brought up in a household that all the women had green thumbs, and I thought that I did not have that because I couldn't grow tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff. And I'm not really sure if I can. I haven't tried my hand at it. But when we got the very first location, when we opened it up, I got a plant, and it survived. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a gardener. And so I got more. And then we opened the second location, had these big windows, and we got more plants, and they were all thriving and surviving. And so then I realized how much I love watching these plants grow and how much I love, working with them. We had the concrete jars. People had suggested us, turning them into planter pots because that's a very common thing. You can go on Amazon and find molds and kits and all that stuff. But I was just really nervous about it. I wanted to make sure that I was like perfect at the candle side of things before I added anything else on. Now I'm gonna tell you the truth, I do it in my sleep. I do all the math, all of the everything, I can do that in my sleep. So we decided to introduce it for Mother's Day, just as like a warm intro, If it didn't work, I wouldn't feel like I changed the whole dynamic of my business. But Callisto Terra at its foundation is a very earthy brand. And so plants, it is a natural avenue that we were going to go down anyway. I have an entire wall full of them, all of my babies just growing and thriving over there. And so when we finally made that step towards that, right, we just started doing it, and we introduced it Mother's Day. Everybody loved it. They had such a good time. We allowed them to even paint on the, concrete is really porous, and acrylic paint works really well with them, right? And so they got to create this customized planter pot with their own, seeds and grow it from root all the way up. And it's edible because it's all herbs, which we love that. And it feeds back into the sustainability part of things. I think growing your own food is extremely important, especially in today's climate. So just kind of going down that path. So because of the success of it, now we have a bunch of different planting workshops that we're going to be rolling out here in June, which, ta-da, you get to talk about first. So
Very exciting.
which is exciting. Yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing that part grow. There's the part of it, but I think it's going to be really good. I mean, it's just a natural extension of the business that was there the whole time. It's just me being courageous enough to, it's scary. It's scary starting something new in something that is known for, candles.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying, okay, well, now it's not just candles. Now we're going to introduce this part of things, but I believe that because it is natural, that it's going to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to be great and successful.
I have two more questions for you.
Yeah.
How did your kid inspire you to create your business?
Yeah, so children they're needy little humans, they are. And I love that for them. And my goal at the end of the day, if I had to drop all of this for them, I would change any and everything that I would have to for them, right? They didn't ask to be here. I made them literally show up and I made them, exist and all that stuff. And so when it came down to it, I'm working the 9 to 5 and I'm trying to, keep them as much, maybe not keep them, but try to be as present as I can be. And that can be really hard when it's just you and your kids and you're trying to balance working and paying bills and feeding them and clothing them and extracurriculars and all of that. And so we kind of came to a crossroads about 5-6 years ago, and I had to make a decision whether or not I was going to be a present parent or not. And And luckily, I had some experience in entrepreneurship. I've started a few businesses, nothing like Callisto. Callisto has been everything and is my fifth child. but with that, it was just the opportunities that entrepreneurship presented as a single mother. I was like, let's try it, let's see how it works. And so my kids definitely put me in a position where it was like, okay, I need to be here for you. I'm not going to get this time back, and I need to create a lifestyle that we can survive, right? We can thrive and all that good stuff, but together and as a unit. And so when I started, it was an apparel business, and I did it right out of, we had a family room, and I turned the whole thing, it was half classroom because I homeschooled them, and the other half had t-shirt presses and cup presses, and we had shelves of shirts and all of that stuff. And it was so divine because COVID happened right in the midst of that. And so we all got locked down anyway. And so we changed the apparel business to fit the COVID and what was going on. We sold a lot of class of 2020 shirts with the toilet paper as the zeros. I sold my weight in those shirts, and we were doing porch drop-offs and stuff, and it was great. And I was able to be with the kids, and we were together anyway. And then the world started to heal and change, and I got a candle kit for Christmas that year, December 2020. And by March, Callisto Terra was an LLC. We were selling, we were doing everything. And I sold all the apparel stuff and invested it into the candle business. And the kids were with me the entire time. They were at the shows with me. They were helping test the candles. My son, Andrew, actually picked out the name Callisto Terra. Wow. Yeah, he named the business, and which was, it was so aligned and so divine. I mean, we were just I was by myself in a different room of the house, and I was saying all of these names out loud, trying to figure out what to name it. And I said Callisto at one point, and I said Terra at another point, and he put them together. He was like, Callisto, awesome. Yeah, isn't that cool? And so they've just been with me the whole time. They've seen the business grow. It's given them an opportunity to see if they want to be an entrepreneur. My 9-year-old has a baking business, and we're working on getting that off the ground. Baking is so hard, Easton. It is so hard. I'm a candle maker, not a baker, but we're working on that. My other daughter, she wants to be an entrepreneur. She doesn't know what she wants to do. She just knows that. But this deciding to do that, burn the ships type thing and go all in with it, it definitely, it feeds them and it feeds me in different ways. But it's just a gift for us because we get to exist together, and we're so much closer since then. I mean, the daycares were helping me raise my kids because I had to work 40 to 50 hours a week just to, survive, honestly. And now I work 150 hours a week, but my kids are with me. And so it doesn't always feel like that a lot of time. And truthfully, it really doesn't. A lot of times we're just kicking it. And we just happen to be selling candles. It's like this weird, 10 years ago, I never would have believed that, this is what I would be doing. Absolutely not. Oh my gosh, my kids would have been toddlers. I'd be like, you're on crack. There's no way. I would have thought I was owning a Chipotle or something. But yeah, the world is, you never know what's coming for you. That's for sure.
The universe has a very interesting way of guiding you in certain scenarios that you think might be wrong, but
absolutely, yeah.
You're like, oh wow, this actually did work out.
I should trust the universe more, right? Yeah.
I have one more question for you. If you could have dinner with two people,
oh my God.
one person from the past,
okay,
and one person from the present,
okay,
who would it be and why?
Okay, immediately Michael Jackson. It's just immediately Michael Jackson. I have been so obsessed with him since I was a little kid, and I just feel like he is just the baddest there ever was. I would love to have conversations with him. I would hate that it would only last for a dinner, and I really would just want to know more about life from the perspective of somebody who is literally never going to die. You know what I mean? Like that type of stardom and that type of, I don't desire that on a personal level at all. Let me be clear. I do not have a desire for fame, fortune, or any of that. I just want to be comfortable. But he has always just intrigued me because he is who he is, right? We learned so much more about him after he passed away. And he was just such a present to humanity. I love Michael Jackson, and I would love, love, love to sit down and talk with him. Somebody from the present that I think I would want to sit down and have dinner with, that's a really good one. Maybe, I'm not really sure. somebody that I guess somebody that I would look up to, right? Maybe somebody that I would want to be like 10 or 20 years down the road. Probably, maybe somebody who's like, I'm not really sure. That's a really good question. My brain is like embarrassing me now because as soon as you said two people, I was like, Michael Jackson. But now I'm like, maybe, I don't know. You know what? Okay, don't like, I'm fangirling a little. I'm fangirling a little. But I might, from the present, want to sit down. Oh, I hope I don't get crucified over this with Chris Brown. Only because I am very astonished at how he is still relevant. I've been a fan of him for a really long time, off and on. Very obvious reasons why, right? Off and on. But somebody who was capable of persevering in a way that a scandal like that, a situation like that, whether it happened or it didn't happen, the way that the media put it out there, to survive through something like that, to me is extremely admirable. He should have died with the scandal, right? But he trusted and he worked and he believed in himself and pushed through all of that. And I mean, just like situation after situation. I'm not saying he's the greatest guy in the world. I'm not saying any of that. I believe that if you give anybody that type of fame at 16, 17 years old, look at Justin Bieber. Oh, he's my baby. It's messy. But just to be able to endure through all of that, the Breezy Bowl, when they announced that, I was so in awe because I was like, I remember waking up the morning that whole situation happened, and I cried for him because I felt like he was, I really am obsessed with Michael Jackson, but I felt like he really was the next one, right? And this happened and it was so crippling to his career. I just admire people who go through adversity in any kind of way and come out on the other side of it through simply just believing in yourself. I've had a lot of experience with adversity. I had to grow up really, really fast, and I didn't really get the privilege of like a full childhood, and I didn't really get to live and experience my 20s. I became a mom at 19, and I threw my back into being a mama. I was meant to be a mama. I loved, and I don't regret any of the stuff that happened because I'm grateful for who I am, and I love who I am now. But it's just something that just, I'll never meet him, and I'll never meet a lot of these, people who go through that. But just to see it from the outside, it's such a beautiful process. I mean, the world will throw anything at us to keep us down, and we mess up. I was about to cuss. We mess up, and we get in our own way so much. And he got in his own way, and he destroyed his career. But he still believed that he had the power to, break through. And I would love to have a conversation with him, just a real conversation about what that actually felt like, what that actually was like, not these media interviews where he had, it's scripted and he has to say certain things. People were just burying him over and over again. And look at him, the man is selling out stadiums. And it's Chris Brown, this is somebody who people still hate him. And he's still doing his thing. It's so admirable to me. It really is. I would love to have a conversation with him.
I love it. Well, Taylor, those are the questions I have for you.
Yeah.
How can people find you?
Oh,
and
yes.
What is one thing you want to leave people with?
Yes. Okay, so you can find me in the street. No, I'm just playing. You can find me at callistoterra.com. We're inside the Davis building, Wicked Palette Studio. This is our home now. You can find us here. Best way to get a hold of us is through social media. Comment on my posts. I will see that. And my best friend Rebecca will see it, and she'll screenshot it and send it to me. And so I won't miss you doing that. Or you can bump the text, right?
Yes,
you can send me another text and bump it up to the top of my list. I would love to leave people just with, just take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and just trust in the process. Trust in the process. If you just stay the course, you're going to make it to wherever you're trying to go.
Well, Taylor, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I
Thank you.
I love it.